All right. That's annoying. Sweet. All right, so let me slack out. Snack it out. Okay. So I'm going to talk really loud just to annoy those people. Really, right by the door, so that they get super duper annoyed. Okay, I'm slacking out what is going to be a repo for this particular unit. So what I'm trying to do is aggregate all of the React lectures, the homeworks. So this in itself is going to be the repo I'm going to use for unit 2. So instead of like individual repos, like here's today's class, here's, you know, tomorrow's class, I'm going to organize the notes in here. So we're in, you know, week 4, day 2, right? Instructor notes. These will be some of the lectures we're shooting today for today. Okay. Once again, I like to build this stuff out. Sometimes the lectures are like, what we covered is in the lecture, but we didn't build that thing out in the lecture, right? We build something out. You got the hands-on. I guarantee you got the concepts. We may not build exactly what's in there, but any of the concepts that are in there, definitely cover. You will understand them. So you'll be forking the whole thing, right? You'll just clone this whole thing. And once you push up what we need that day, you can always go back to the day. We'll still use the wiki, but I think this is just a way I've been always wanting to organize the lectures. And now I can.
So should we clone this into
Yep, you can clone this. Sure. You want to clone it into your unit 2? Sure. Okay. It's its own repo, so that means if you were to do anything inside of these folders, that would be a Git repo for any reason, that's going to mess things up. So if any time we do something in one of these subfolders on your machine, we have to make sure that it's not in itself a Git repo, because this whole structure is a Git repo. I'm seeing all the puzzle blocks. Yes. Fork it. Fork the whole thing. Fork and clone it. Fork and clone it, please.
And then tomorrow you upload the documents in
Sure.
the folder.
Yes.
And you have not touched any of the other folders.
Sure. Uh-huh. Yes. Then what, right? Is that the question?
Yeah.
So what we'll do is this, and I'll set you up to do that also. So we know that we have this, you know, we have this repo, right? This repo. And you are going to fork it, right? So fork it. Here is your version of that repo. And then you're going to clone it, correct? You clone it there. So you have a direct connection with your own repo, right? If you did a git remote -v, what are you going to see? Yours, right? Yours. You'll see 2 origins, right? There'll be an origin, and that both origins, one origin is like a fetch, I think, and one origin is a push, I think. I think that's it. I have to take a look. They both point to this thing. But I want, at some point in time, for you to create this connection back here, right? So you can have 2 connections, right? How would we do that? How would you point back to this original repo? You know, I mean, you already have a copy of it, right? But if I push something new up here, I push something new, how do you get the changes into your repo, your local repo? How do you think? Okay, branches are still local to your own machine. Branches are just you spinning off a segmented version, a protected area of your own repo. Merge is when you take two branches and you marry them together to take those changes into one repo. So pull requests would allow you, like everyone's like, all right, pull requests allow you to ask to merge your information with my repo. I must feel like we're almost out of like ideas here. Issue? What if you created a remote? Anybody remember that? Did we ever do that? I could have sworn we like went over a remote really quickly. And so a remote is this. If we wanted to connect back to this repo, so I want to point to my original one because I'm doing work, but I also want to contribute to this repo, right? A lot of people do this, like a large library like a jQuery or even React. Lots of smart people, really, really smart people want to contribute to React. And even one of the instructors, I think, reached out and like had some sort of update. Really smart dude, loves React. And so this is the official jQuery React Angular repo. No one touches that besides the Angular React jQuery people, right? But you might be like, hey, I think I got this really cool solution. I think you might want it. And they're like, that's awesome. You would make a pull request, right? If you wanted to merge anything from here to here, you make a pull request. That's your ability to like make a change here is you doing a pull request, right? Okay. If other people decided to add things, right? So this is you forking it. If somebody else forks it, right? Some other person forks it, and now this repo is up here, and then they clone it here, and they do a pull request, and they update this repo. Now your repo is out of sync with this repo, right? Multiple people can do pull requests. This person could have also have done a pull request here, okay? And that means that there's multiple things here that you don't have here. You don't have here, they don't have yours unless they do something, right? Unless they pull those changes, right? You would have to do some sort of, I don't think it's pull, right? Fetch, push, okay. In the end, the answer we've all been waiting for, right, is to create a remote, another remote. And in order to do that, you would just do something like git remote add the name of your remote. So git is obviously the command that we use, right? We know that that's the command. This kind of is the directive. What do you want to do? I want to create or execute the remote commands. And within that subset, I want to add a new remote. Okay, so this is kind of the command you want to execute. And this is the subset. This answers the question, what do you want to do? We all know that git is the thing, right? So I would say git remote add, and then what's the name of the remote? You know how you have origin over here, right? So if I was, just to open up here, and I was like, all right, here, right? If I do a git remote minus v, we see that I have two remotes, correct? Two of them. I can create as many of these remotes pointing any other place I want. Doesn't matter. Obviously, you're not going to do that, right? It makes sense to have a connection to yours, which is the origin, which is something you didn't go out of your way to even really create. By you doing git clone creates this origin. That's like done. All you know is like git add, git commit, git push. You don't even have to do git push master, right? Does anyone do that still? Anyone ever put? You don't have to ever do master. You can just do git push by itself, and it defaults to master. Anyone know that? No one knew that? No one give it a shot? All right. Surprise! That was my little tidbit. All right. So if you want to add, you would do git remote, and then what's the name? The name of the remote that you want to create. Just like origin is a name, I would create a new name. Now, I almost always, if at any point in time I do have two connections, like I consider this one connection. They're just two different commands that work within it. So to me, it's really one connection. And I almost always only have either a second connection because I'm playing this game out right here. If this is the game, then the name of the remote, I call it, is remote. But you can call this whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I could go in there and change origin right now to be whatever. SEI unit 2, it doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want. Okay? This is the command, the kind of directive, and then this is like the what do you want to do? Because there's also like, I could set URLs, I could change them, I could do all that. And then you just put whatever it is the URL, right? .git, right? Whatever the git thing is. Okay? And then you would be able to git pull remote origin, right? At the end, if you set this up, you'd be able to say git pull remote, master, right? And at that point in time, you're now pulling changes down. Sure.
So once you use a get remote add remote, you have to set that up permanently. You don't have to go back in and like say you make another change, you have to go back get remote add.
So if I make a change here, and you would like that change in your local, right? Because there's no way for you to get it from here necessarily over to here. You have to get it down here, and then you'll push it up, right? So if I say, hey, I just did some instructor stuff, right? That's what I do up here, instructor stuff. I created a thing, I did the, we got the color switches all done. I push it up, and you're gonna want it at some point in time, because you're gonna wanna reference it. Now you could always go online and look at the repo and see it, but you may want it on your local machine. If you want it on your local machine, you'd want to git pull remote master, get it onto your local machine. Tomorrow, when I give you a new lecture that's not up there, right? Because the rest of those folders are empty, you're gonna wanna do a git pull remote master. And of course, I'll walk you through the process of doing that, make sure everyone's on point to have it, okay?
What's the URL? Just that URL.
Oh no, to get the URL, it's this. Just like you were doing a git clone. Like you forked yours already, right? So if I was to fork this, so we can just kind of walk through the process so like everyone's on the same page. So if I go here and I fork this lecture, right? I'm just gonna fork it to my own personal repo. Okay? It'll fork it, now it's JQN personal repo. It's my personal repos. Okay? Now I have it. I want this thing to come down to my local machine, right? So I'm gonna go here, definitely not gonna do it there, right? There we go, SEI Pirates. I'll do, because it's Unit 2 React, I'm gonna maybe even go further. You know what, I'll do mkdir Joe, change into Joe, git clone that. Okay, now I'm cloning, I'm doing exactly what you're doing, right? I took the Unit 2 folder, I forked it, I cloned it, I have this local thing. If I do a git, right, I have to go into it. Git remote -v, there. I see my remote, right? This is, I'm sorry, I see my origin up there. But I have this class repo that I want to do this with, right? I want to add this other one. All I would have to do is go back to my original one here, get the git link, right? Go back to here, let me just close this. And here, once again, I would just run that command. Git remote add, whatever the name is. I would like to call it remote, but I could call it Unit 2, call it pickle, strawberry. Doesn't matter, I'm gonna call it remote. Boom, paste the link, boom, do the thing. No magic happens, but if I do git remote -v, I now have a remote connection.
I'll say that the remote one, that's what I meant by that question. Like, you don't have to do that again.
You never have to run this command again. This command you run one single time. Exactly. And if at any point in time I made changes here, right? Because I'm on the Joe repo, my own personal. I would do git pull, and then the question is, hey, where do you want to pull from? Do you want to pull from yours? If you just did this, it would pull origin, right? Origin master. It would just pull that by default. But if I want to pull from the remote, I would do git pull remote master.
So right now, we should all do git remote D to get started.
So you cloned it, right? You forked and cloned it, correct? Everyone on board with that? Fork and clone instead repo. Okay. Now the original link here, I will slack out. The original link, all you have to do inside of your repo is do this, git remote add, remote, and the URL that I just posted. Then you'll run the git remote v commands to confirm that you have both of them, okay? Then anything I push up here, and I will push it up later today, I'm gonna build stuff, right?
Is there a command to see, like, let's say tomorrow you change something, and then
Yep.
I'm going to see if the repo
Has stuff, right? There's a command. What's a command? Is there like a diff something or other? I know there's a way to do it. Off the
basically you're just saying you just need to know that before you just go on to
Yeah. I'm sure there is a git command. Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is. Like git is this little world. Like when you start going into it, there's so many things. And there's like diff commands to see the difference. I'd have to go take a look. Sure.
The purpose of this is that you have access to git updates that you have.
Sure.
Not for us to do the work.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't fork it, then at that point in time, it really wouldn't make a difference. You'd just be able to do git pull, right? You would pull it, but you're going to be adding stuff, your own stuff. In every one of these folders, you know, this is the structure I would like to use. My ideal structure is this. Student examples. If I build out something, I'm going to be in instructor examples, which you should not be, right? This is for me. I'll push my stuff up there. You would push your stuff up there. So when you have your local version, your student examples are going to be filled with amazing student examples. And then I'm going to do my instructor stuff up here. You'll pull my instructor stuff down, and you'll be able to see it. There'll be a reference point, all right? You won't want to go here and do like, oh my God, I have to look at the thing up here. You're going to want to see what we did. Yeah, Tommy, you're in? You're on board? Whatever. All right. Feel good. There we go. So I posted a GIF, diff, origin, master. Love it. I'm going to remember. Remind me to do that later. This GIF, diff, origin, master. I won't remember. All right. We ready? Feeling ready? All right. So I'm going to slack out. The first thing that I would like to do. So here is Primero Cosa. I can speak better Spanish. All right. So the first lecture that I want to do. Now, yesterday I did mention that we're going to use like Code Sandbox as this online tool. But Soleil, in her wisdom, showed me the error of my ways in being this. And it has been noted before, like, hey, we're using REPLs. We're using CodePens, we're using local files. Gets a little confusing. What are we using today, right? So we're going to jump into just the local files. We're going to install the tool known as Create React App. That's the tool. Official React tool that allows you to spin up a React app in no time, because preceding that, it took a lot of time, right? You had the libraries, but what was the other tool that you needed as well? Yesterday we had, you know, React.js, right? We had React, right, DOM.js, and then what else did we need? Babel, right? And so Babel was this other thing, and Babel was used to do what? Transpile, right? Transpile what to what? ES6. ES6 or 7 or 8, right? All the way down to 10, whatever it is. There's different configurations in Babel that you could apply down to ES5. That was its ultimate goal. React is all about the latest and greatest and newest things to do. Okay, it's cutting edge. You'll see. From now when you graduate, there'll be something new with React. And I'm like, all right, like there's already stuff I don't know about React.
And just to clarify, so Babel is mostly used for browser compatibility?
Yeah, because your machine only knows ES5. Like your browser only can interpret ES5. It doesn't really necessarily know what to do with all the new ES6 stuff. Even though you can go like the dev tools and still run some ES6 stuff, it does, but it needs to take all that and transpile it into a way. Also, React is doing things, like, you know when we passed props yesterday, right? What did it do with props? What did it turn props into?
GSX.
An object. JSX is what?
It's
Right? All right, I mean, we're gonna cover that all over today, but we passed in some data and it converted it into an object, which is not normal behavior for a function, right? Functions don't do that. They don't intuitively take in something and convert it into something else. React is doing that, so we have to fix all that, convert whatever React is doing in its own React-esque way, and transpile it into an ES5 version that everyone can understand, that your machines can process.
If everybody used like Chrome in the world, then would we not need Babel?
No, you still need Babel. React is doing a lot of stuff. Doing a lot of stuff, right? We created components. Components render what? What does a component render at the end of the day? Its whole purpose in life is to do what? Like how you just throw it out. I got everything. Just throw it out there. So a component does what? Components, right? Render HTML and JavaScript. They render some sort of UI, right? Whatever that UI is going to be some sort of like HTML. Like when we created that UI within the component, just in the form of JSX, right? But it's meant to say, here's the structure of the app, and there's some HTML here, and there's some stuff over here, and I'm going to take these things and compartmentalize that. And so the components are meant to say, I'm responsible for giving to the view this thing. That's what I get, okay? And so it does it in this combination, right? Whatever it's doing when it renders within the component, it's a combination of, JSX is in the render component, and JSX, we know, is JavaScript, happily needs HTML, and they love each other, and they want to produce as many things as possible for you to see, right? The romance going on. So that's a component, and we created a few components yesterday. You did the tic-tac-toe, right? What was the take on tic-tac-toe? I looked at the issue tickets. There wasn't a lot. Not a lot of people left like extra comments. It was like, here's my link to the code pen. So I only got a few perspectives on the thing. Always leave. How am I supposed to know you liked it, enjoyed it? I don't know. What was it difficult?
Part where you didn't include a piece of code that we were supposed to change.
They didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They did. Not me. Perfect, Rob.
So there was like one last.
Yeah.
Okay, but they did include a piece of code that we were supposed to change.
Okay.
So I spent about 10, 15 minutes looking through it, wondering where this piece was.
Okay. Is that a flaw in their thing? Was there like?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've gone through the whole tutorial. Okay. So.
Then I like had to go to find this code up till now, and then go back and
Find the
this
thing.
is what changed, this is what was added.
Okay. Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, all the time, they would like break lines into multiple lines for readability. So it would like look really different than what I was looking at. Here am I? This looks different than there.
Okay. So it's not perfect.
But it was good.
It's not perfect. The idea was to expose you to all the React, not even all the React things, just a handful of React things, right? That's what it was meant to do. sometimes we give that like as a weekend thing, and like have the weekend to do the whole thing, just to like and at that point in time they haven't been exposed to React at all. It's like, hey, Monday we're gonna jump into React, do the tutorial, and just like get lost, come back with questions, and then you'll see it expose itself. Okay. Awesome. It was a pretty good React class. Once again, I'm just showing the feedback because it was the first day of teaching that particular topic. So I always use this as the gauge, right? Pace of I always try to shoot for the pace of the lesson, make sure we're well paced. I'm trying to get everyone on board with understanding the concepts. If that means we stop, take it a little slower, you jump in, you go along, right? Awesome, right? Breath of fresh air. How many of you feel that way? At least the person, right? Maybe that was you. Maybe you wrote that. I don't know. Do you like React?
Yeah.
So far? Okay. Some people like it. Some people are like, they could care less for it. I pretty much, when you get through the rest of the next couple of lectures, you're going to start to see like, wow, this really makes sense. I think one of the things was, one of the pieces that I got was like, here, benefits of React over vanilla JS. Do you see any benefits? Is there any single benefit that you can see of what we built out yesterday? Why React?
It's all in one place, yeah.
Okay, one place. All right, I'll take that.
Right there.
What are the benefits? What other benefits do you see for React versus vanilla JavaScript? All in one place. Okay. All in one place. Okay. What else?
From a business perspective, I still see it a really nice thing about React that like people aren't like working on the same lines of code and maybe conflicting lines. It's like,
Oh, I see.
You're
All right.
team, like you just do this component and I'll work on this component, and it eventually works together.
And I'm going to throw in there components, because the components would maybe be able to allow you to work. If I work on this component, you work on that component. As long as we never edit the same component file, we should be golden, right? Cool.
I think it's sort of building off that, and like really forcing you to have each piece be a small, certainly one purpose.
Sure.
In JavaScript, you can get away with judging that your function gets complicated and big, whereas really.
It breaks it down, right? It breaks down this UI into smaller things that are meant to be like reusable, right? Reusable, right? I should be able to take that stuff, put it into another app, and it should work just as well. Just like a function takes in standard input, processes, and gives you standard output. As long as you give it what it expects, it will process and return whatever it is. Components are the same way. If you know and constructed it like this and it's expecting this thing, as long as it gets a thing, it should return back the thing.
So far, at the very least, it's a lot easier.
Readability, right? Yeah. This makes it easier to like, trust me, if I was to look at a solution to something and I just taught you plain JavaScript and HTML and like, hey, go do the thing, build the thing, I would get several variations of like function names being called certain things and like one huge function while somebody has 5 different functions and I have to follow the little breadcrumbs through the function. So when someone's like, it doesn't work, I'm like, all right, I'm not really sure. What is it supposed to be doing, right? But if I see something that's just a form in the world of React, I know exactly how that form should be created, what it should be doing, right? And if you tell me it should be passing data around, I know where to look for those little breadcrumbs. It's a much more meticulous way of structuring the code so that as a large team, we know at some sort of base level, right? It's across the board, you can write stuff in different ways. Right? I created the color switcher in one component yesterday. I showed you, here's one, and then here was 4 things, right? Different ways of doing it. Okay, let's get rid of that. If I do, which I did, but if I do create, take any notes, I'm going to try to take it like in here, because it's on the screen. So I think what I got was, some people said like, I'm doing stuff and you don't see it. But you don't see any of this. right? It's not there, and I'm not going to spend time like putting it there because that'll take me forever to draw it. But if I try to capture notes, I'll try to put it as best I can there. Okay, and we will be drawing some stuff out. So I opened up a Google Draw in order to draw out a React architecture. Okay, because React is in itself broken down into components, and those components have architecture also. And when we get to the concept of state and passing data around, React passes data down. Like all data kind of gets passed down. If you want to change something, you change it up here, and then it resends it back down. Like this flow. Like, here's the new data, I will pass it back down. Do you want to change something? Tell me what you want to change. I pass it back down. And there's a control mechanism there. And that control mechanism is called state. And that's kind of where we left off with props yesterday, but I mentioned, hey, we'll cover some state today. Like, you'll see what that's like, okay? So, but the first thing is, the very, very first thing is, start notes, right? Is the Create React App tool. This is the tool that will allow us to spin up a React app, okay? So, we're gonna build a React app. Now, it's a tool and we're gonna have to install it. Let me just go here, put this over here, clear my screen. I am gonna go into PWD, I wanna make sure I'm in, let's see, Pirates hours, right? Whatever I do, I would like to push up later. Okay. Change directory week 04, day 02. Change directory instructor, example, blah, 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 blah. There we go. Okay. So what are we going to do? Well, it's a package. It's a Node package, something that we need to download and install. Now, I personally haven't installed, but I can walk through the process. It's just an NPM. NPM is what?
Just NPM is actually.
No, but we say it does.
Yeah, you definitely say it.
Yeah, but it really doesn't. Yeah, but we're gonna say it does. Take all my glory out of it. So let's just assume NPM stands for Node Package Manager. Let's just play that game. It doesn't really, but if you were to see the code and you're like, what does it stand for? And you're like, nothing. That doesn't really make any sense. It's hard to like convince yourself what it does. Node Package Manager allows you to install, I for short, but I could do install the whole word. G for what? Oh, no, you do not. Thank you, Marie. You do not. So I'll just say install. Now -G, and G is short for global. And then create React app. Okay? Boom. You can install it anywhere because of the G command. Some of the packages that you do install should be localized for what intent? Why would I install? So I have a, excuse me, I have an app here, and I have an app here, and the app is going to have a package, right, .json, which means it's going to have this node modules folder, right? This one also is going to have its own, package JSON and its own node modules folder, right? Why would I want to go out of my way to install some sort of package, whatever that is? Package, or maybe, I don't know, jQuery. Just say I installed jQuery, because jQuery is like version 1, 2, and 3. So this app I created a while ago as version 1.0, right? This app requires jQuery version 2.0. Okay, you see how this app is its own self-contained thing, right? It's its own thing. And I don't want to create some sort of global scope in my environment over here that they're all looking up to some version of jQuery that isn't supported in this app. This app is using 1, this uses 2, so I don't want to do that. Now for Create React app, doesn't really matter because Create React app is what's spinning off these things anyway, and we want it to be global. We want it to be able to like create these packages, but inside of these packages, we're going to want to install specific pieces of software that are localized. Okay? Because once again, you're going to push this stuff up, right? It may be a year, 2 years from now that somebody's like, oh my God, that's crazy. I like this. I'm going to download your repo, and they do the install, right? And now jQuery could be at 5.0, and that would certainly break 1.0 and 2.0. So when you install this, you tell Node to like, go get jQuery 1.0 because my app is built on this platform, and using any other version would break my app completely, okay? But there are certain things, like NPM, right? We want that to be global because that downloads the stuff, right? Even Node has versions that we could say only use this version of Node if we wanted to. We don't really walk down that road, but is that good? Anyone have issues? Did you have issues installing it? What was the issue?
I don't know. This install, is this the
Oh, without the dash I. Yes. My mistake. Okay, we're good? Really good. That'll take you like a second to download. Okay. So creating a new Node package, right? Where's my mouse? Here. So I'm in instructor examples. You can go to student examples, right? That way you can aggregate your stuff. What did we do on this day? Boom, it's right there. That's what I did on that day. Okay. Sweet. So was there something you wanted to mention? Because I just saw on Slack. Sorry? I just read Slack. Was there something you wanted to mention?
Before we split up our first reaction, speaking of global packages, do you guys remember how we globally installed ES? All right, so if you don't, so React has its own version of ES, basically telling you where there's errors, where there's warnings, in case your code is a little bit weird, or you need syntax. So I think at this point I have everybody. I have everybody ask them the dash profile. So basically, what we'll do is that basically says, hey, React, it's totally fine, even though we have this we just write this line in the file called .env, which is an environment variable, just saying like in this folder to this basically once we spin up our first React server and we run npm start, which we'll get to, it'll give you a weird error saying weird skip pre-flight check. Don't worry. All you gotta do is write no lint. N-O-L-I.
Okay. Can I demo that?
I'll send you the.
Okay. So they will send it to me. We'll spin it up and see what happens. Here. Okay. So create React app is the command. Then you tell it what's the name of your application. So here we'll do a basic hello world so we can spin something up. No one's really happy about hello world, but we'll spin it up anyway. Hello _ world. Enter. And see, it's downloading all of the stuff that it needs. I'm not going to get, at least I don't think I'm going to get the error that Soleil is mentioning. Others might get. I didn't get anything. What I did get here is happy hacking. And it looks like they're using Yarn now instead of NPM. So Yarn is another tool. You know how like, here we go. You know how we use fetch? And then we used what? Axios. Why did I sell Axios over this?
Because it's one less than.
Right? This had one extra step, right? One, convert to JSON, right? Add the then. What if we want to bypass that? So we say, hey, let's use Axios. This is a free thing that came with, ES6. It's like, hey, people want to make API calls, and the old way of doing it was really arcane. So they gave us this tool which wrapped up the old JavaScript way of doing it. And so a bunch of people somewhere decided, hey, I think we can even wrap fetch up into this other better way of doing things, right? Same concept is here. Yarn and NPM are just like, hey, we're package managers. I can manage your packages, or Yarn can manage your packages. Yeah. Yours says NPM? Anyone else say NPM? NPM, NPM? Okay. I might have a newer version of the Create React app, but I just installed it just like you did. So I don't know why mine, maybe NPM, I don't really know. I don't know why mine is saying Yarn, but yours is, no one has Yarn? Just me? Okay.
It has the version numbers up there, so
Yeah.
ours is 16.9.0.
But what? Yeah. So I don't think it's React. I don't really know why. It doesn't really matter at this point in time. If it's NPM, then we will do NPM. But just know, you might see out there NPM as a node package manager versus Yarn. And Yarn is like the new kid on the block. And a lot of developers are just kind of moving to Yarn as the new thing. It's like going from Sublime to Atom and Atom to VS Code, which is this cracked out editor, right? But it's a lot to kind of wrap your head around that editor. There's a lot going on, but that would be the next iteration of like code editors.
Yeah, so ours doesn't have scheduler, so those React schedulers.
Yeah.
Maybe Yarn is the scheduler.
I don't think it is a schedule because it's just a package manager.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I'm not going to delve like any further into that. You can just Google, NPM versus Yarn and you should know the difference. Like just read a quick Medium article on the difference, and then you will see Yarn is the newer thing. And like a lot of developers are like, hey, I'm going to use Yarn instead. They both manage packages. That's really it. I don't know if this one's any better. I don't really care. I just kind of like install the thing. So I want to start.
I just looked that up and it says that Yarn is a lot faster than NPM.
Okay.
And I noticed that 'cause
So here, is there anything else?
it says Yarn hashes all installed packages and Yarn is installing packages. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, so I'm going to say sync package install, right? Sync package install. All right, so you now know the benefits. Thank you. I think that's great, though. I think
Well, I was like, why is this?
Yeah. so. Maybe Yarn is how we should proceed. I don't know. Yeah.
So besides speaking, when you do deployment, we focus on customers and things like that. Our way we configure our state of these NPM or sourcing is not easy.
Yeah.
Android is a lot faster because NPM is a lot faster.
Yeah.
And one reason that I like this NPM is because the original one also works. So it's also not.
So we'll use, for now, we'll just use NPM. So I'm just going to say NPM start. All right, so I'm going to do this. First, I want to see ls, I see hello world, right? Now, if I run NPM, just to show you, so you never, this is not going to work. If I do NPM start right here, I'm going to get this, and it's like, what the hell? Like, Joe just had to do this thing, and it doesn't work. It worked because our app is in here, and I'm running npm start from a folder that doesn't know anything about like what to look to start. It's looking for a packaged JSON file. Okay, and that's, I kind of put the package JSON here for a reason also. Inside of that package JSON, it knows about your software, but it also knows how to start up your server. There's this thing called startup scripts. So I'm going to go into the Hello World app, I'm just gonna clear out all my errors and such. And if I do a ls minus L, I'll see I have a package JSON right here, a package JSON, okay? Now I'm gonna open up Sublime, and I will also pull that up. Bloop, bloop. Just open up a new Sublime window, and I'll pull up our today's folder here. Pirates, week 2, nope, nope. All right, here it is. Structure examples, hello world app, package JSON. Okay. So a package JSON file contains information about our application. Any installed dependencies that we need. These are the dependencies. React DOM, we're familiar with those two, right? From the other day. And the React scripts, which is what they use to execute React and help us do things. And so there's these scripts. You'll see the same thing in Node, and we'll configure Node differently. You'll see start. These naming conventions could be whatever you want, but they're default like this here. When we get to Node, we're also going to create our own. When we're building Node servers without React, we have to spin up Node, and so we'll go here and it'll be like start, and it'll be like Node, and the name of the file, and we'll be able to start it. Here it's like React scripts start, and that spins up our React server. Okay? There's also other commands like build and test and inject. Don't run these, but something like build does what I mentioned like Babel was trying to do. I think I erased it. It's trying to like transpile things and put everything into like an index file to send to you. Okay? So that's what we have, right? There's some development dependencies here. Okay? We're not really concerned. This is really all we're concerned with right now. The other place that we are concerned with is our source folder. So this is important here. Every React app is going to have this public and source folder. And there's a bunch of files in here. I can go ahead and create them. They were created as part of the app. Okay? There's this top level one called index. Now what about index do you see that I said in the last class you would only need to type out once for your application only? What is it? Yeah, this is the only time I said. You type it one time and that's it. And this does what? What does React DOM render do? I kind of threw a word out there. Yeah, it mounts to the element that you want and it controls everything in that element. That's where your application lives. So consider like with React and Angular as well, and some of these other frameworks, you can have different applications that are controlling different portions of a larger application. I can create a React thing that controls just this section. It's aware of just that section, and another React app that controls another section of the site. So I can split them off into two separate applications, essentially. Okay? Depending on where you mounted it. We're mounting it at root, and I specifically chose root yesterday because you're going to see it here. There's root. So the question would be like, well, where is root? And what is it loading, by the way? How about that? This is index. What is it actually loading or mounting? App. An app is a component you have not created thus far, yet it's mounting something. Okay, there's important things here. We'll get to it. I'm just going to go to the app.js file, and this is it. This is our app.js file. And so, yeah.
And everything we're looking at right now is just default. Whenever you make your brand new app, you'll see the same.
You're going to see the same thing. And so the question is like, what am I supposed to be seeing right now, right? Did we run? I don't think I ran. We ran npm start, and it should have started up. Did it not start for me? I didn't see anything start up. All right, I ran npm start. Oh, you know why? Because it started up over here. See that? Did that start up for everyone? NPM start. Ooh, right? Jazzy, right? NPM start executes our React application. Okay?
Now we're going to get into a funny little error.
Okay.
And it's going to have one text saying, see three flight errors like that. But that's the ES looking for. So all you got to do is type nolet, press enter, and start again.
Sweet.
Nolan, one word.
Yeah.
One word.
Yeah.
How many are getting the error? Just curious. No errors, no errors. You got the error. Okay, so some of you are getting it. Oh, some of you may not, because I know Soleil worked on a few people's machines. Okay, so if you just type no lins, press enter, it will work. Okay. Otherwise, Soleil, the command that you slacked out, that's the command. No, if you ran, I'm going to stop this. So watch. I'm going to just stop my server. I'm going to Control C. Okay. If I refresh this page, the server stops. In order to start your server, and remember, I'm in the Hello World application. I'm in that directory. If I run npm start now, it will spin up our React site. And this thing will refresh and start, right? Okay. You can see, yeah. You can see why I started with CodePens yesterday, right? I wanted to get you to what React was and not spend 20 minutes like, this is the file and this is how we do it. That's just really time consuming. I'd rather wrap your head around what a component is and what we're trying to achieve, and then take the step back and be like, now we can create a component. You just need to know the structure and the architecture for us to do it. Do you have a question?
No, I'm just, it's like, the NPM was a lot.
It is.
I don't know.
I mean, you could, right, for these instances, if you want to test just using yarn start, you could do that also. Okay? Sweet. We good? Nice suggestion, and yes, let's take a 5. All right. Feel free to remind me, sometimes I get carried away. Yes. You good? Good? So where does it react?
Okay.
I learned that just from the remote. It was just like, I'm typing this. Everyone click on the thumbs up to say they typed it. It was a little too slow for me, but everyone was always on the same. If I deviated in one way, like I jumped ahead, discussed something else, all I got my exit tickets was like sidetracked. He's talking about something else. Like this, I can do it because I'm here live and I can walk people through it. But I do it like that. You have to like slow everything. Too slow? Yeah. There is a slowness meter that you cannot threshold. You're too slow. Let me see.
So it's like, once you start the project, just do it at the end of the release.
Okay, so I just.
So when you react. Because we look here. You have to make sure. We're probably going to do this again later on, but let's see more, like giving us some more convincing. We're not going to do it. Don't install yarn. I mean, you could just relax. You could have a little bit overhead, it seems. Yeah, it's just like meditation. Basically, our package JSON says download these node modules when you hit it. Right now, you're in. So package.json is basically saying at this moment, this is probably all the dependencies that are downloading and all those stuff. The package JSON is saying these are the dependencies that need to be downloaded in case you want to use this project, and also need a node file. And then the node files are the actual files. So even security or following these two don't have that. I think because they shouldn't be shown. You know, I mean, yeah, it's not that. I'm guessing you accidentally like it from somewhere in your folder.
Yeah, probably.
No, it's fine.
Is that for the building?
Yeah, but I saw.
Yeah. That's one.
Okay, so let's go. Okay. So basically, this one, we'll say that I was doing that file, it's just like, file. This one basically is supposed to be a config, but
Run the pin when I was running, like, looking back at it, like, that's Creeper now. It's Creeper. Huh? Yeah, we can ask the front lines.
Oh, yeah.
I will, yeah.
The stock is going to be really useful in case you enter the process. Yay, we go to the Yay! Wow!
This is the $1 billion one. You know how long it took me to get that thing to spin? Forever. That's like keyframes in animation right there. Super fantabulous. All right. Still recording, right? Pause. Oh.
Oh, it's just no charts.
Okay, I'm like, and again, you had to throw that in. I'm like, she's eating out dirty jars. She's gonna get sick. You people from the city really do it differently than us in the suburbs out there. Yeah. Sounds tasty. No sugar? There's no sugar in there?
The big syrup. But it's not like, it's like, it's like that.
Natural spring. Okay. Is everyone coming back? I took a picture of this. I'll post it later. I did take a picture of it. You can have it for all times, AJ, for all times. You're like, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah.
Not like what happened. Yeah, all right.
Love it. Yeah, that's the excitement I want. All right. Ready? We're ready to rock and roll. So, all right, there's our server. And we have all of these files. Now, the files that we're concerned with right now is app.js. So we're going to spin up a brand new server. I'm not going to be using the Hello World app long term, just the demo. With this, they have all this stuff. In the end, I could just get rid of everything except the app and put whatever I want there. Now, the fact that I've done this, there's nothing here, but there's not going to be an error. There's just nothing there because I got rid of everything. So I could put, just in each one and say, welcome to create React app H1. I save it, it refreshes, and it's done. Right? All I did was inside of app. I'm just showing you. You can just watch. We're going to be doing this in a little bit too. Just going to turn off my toggle soft app. Let me get rid of that. All right. A little bigger, sure. Yep. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of that. Boom. Does what not work? Oh no, it doesn't work in here. And it's not going to work inside of it. There is like a package or something. I was trying to play around with the package. I couldn't get it to work. That was my first thing. It's like, let's do it. It wasn't working on my machine, so I'm going to continue laboriously, Darren, to figure out the solution for you. All right. So I just want to show you, like making one change here. And in our future apps, app is really where we're going to start. Okay, app will be kind of like our code bin, and then we'll just start rendering things from here. And if we had multiple components, we'd have to do a few things with those components. Things I want to point out here is things like this. You see, import React. Okay, every time, every file is always going to have an import, and whatever you want to import here, we're going to import React. Okay, from React. So let me color this. And it's in quotes. Okay. This here is what you want to call it. You call this whatever you want. You choose this name. Okay, it's up to you. I wanted to call it React, I call it React. This, you do not choose. This is the library. That's the library. Okay? You have to be very specific about that naming convention. Okay? And then import is just a command. This is the node command to import things in, right? How did we do it when they were HTML files? How did you import something? Yeah, so I'm going to say this is the HTML's version of script tags. Okay? It's really what it is. It's HTML's version. You did import, script, and you imported your libraries, easy. When we did it in CodePen, it was like go to the JavaScript thing, the icon, type it in, and it imported it for us. We need the import keyword. You get to choose whatever this is, doesn't really matter. But it matters if you need to reference it later. Okay, we will. In this instance, we don't really see React being referenced anymore, right? I don't see it being referenced. I don't see logo anymore being referenced because I deleted it, and I don't see CSS being referenced either, right? You see how CSS doesn't have any name, right? So some things can just get imported and be used. This CSS is importing the CSS and applies the CSS here. There will be times when you do need a naming convention, and this is always required. This particular one right here is always required for every app. I'll be right with you, Jeff. I'll show you on Index. Index also imports React, right? But you don't see React necessarily being used here. What do you see that's also being imported, that is being used? React DOM. That is being used, and this is the only file in a Create React app that you will see this being used. Okay? It's like something I was trying to stress, like, don't worry about it, because anytime you run this tool, it's always going to do it for you. and you're not going to be creating React apps from scratch. It's a real tedious process. So this allows us to do it. What was your question?
So that import logo section,
Yeah.
that was just that fancy.
That was that spinning thing. That was it. It was an icon, right? So if I go back here, it was really just a SVG that was spinning. That's really was an image. That's really all it was. And here's the logo. That's it. There's the logo, SVG, and that was just being imported here.
Would we, if we were making it, would we ever have like an intro logo on the front? Or could we?
If you wanted to.
We're just like, oh, yeah.
I mean, that was the app. The app was this big hero image with the logo, right? You probably want something that has like a hero shot, big thing, like portfolio pages, big up top with an image and some information, something like that, okay? The other thing I want to point out here is when you import something, so the other thing that we imported, I'm going to go back to index, we also did this. I ran import, and I imported app, okay? And I imported app from someplace very specific, right? Okay, I imported it from this location, which is ./app. Okay, now, what type of file is app?
App.js.
Yeah, app.js, but I don't have to include the JS because it knows that that's a JS file. So just a little shortcut. You don't have to write JS because it already knows that it's JS. Like React.js, React-DOM.js. We don't have to do it. It already knows it. CSS, though, it's like, what do you want to import? I have to tell it to import. If I don't give it an extension here, it will think this was a JavaScript file, and it's not. Okay. Later on, we're going to maybe want to import JSON data. Like I can have a file that just has an object or something or an array, and I want to import that. I have to tell it what I want to do. Now, when you import something, the thing that gets imported, so this app, right? So I have here our index file. This is index, and this is app. Okay? So index needs to import something, right? So let's just say I want to import app. App needs to export its own. I'm going to actually put it towards the bottom. Here, I'll put it here. Export. And I'll put this towards the top too, so it'll make sense. You import towards the top. At the very bottom, you export the file. So if I go into app, export default. See that? So let me just extend this. Export default. And then the name of the thing, the component name, in this instance, it's app. Right? Okay? When it gets exported, it can then be imported. Without this key, without this, if I try to import it, it wouldn't know what to import. So the file's like, I have stuff that you could be running here, but you didn't want to export. Okay, so you can choose what you want to take out of this file and export it to something else. Okay, this file may contain supporting functions that don't need to make it into here, but because this thing is scoped to this file would have access to everything in here. If it lives in here or you called it in here, it could have access to 100 little functions. And so this becomes its own app. It's almost like importing like React, and then I have access to all of React, access to all of jQuery. It's the same concept. In essence, when we create React, this app or whatever component is going to have everything we need. There's not going to be any supporting things above or below, outside of these maybe imports here, that we're going to have access to. Okay? For the most part, it's just going to be this app thing, and then we'll create things like the color switcher, right? We did the form and the color switcher list, or the colored list, right? That's what we did, okay?
So if I want to see everything that I've imported, it's always going to be top of
It has to be at the top. You're always going to see your imports there, okay? And the fact that I'm choosing to use logo but it's not being used. If I went to developer tools, I would see something like this. Line 2, logo is defined but never used, and there's a rule, no unused bars. Don't import something if you have no intent of using it. That's what this is. I imported this, and by importing it, it really becomes a variable. I can reference logo anywhere. It's just like saying, like, let logo is equal to. It's just a different format of writing that construct, okay? Think of that in that construct. Like, let React is equal to React. Let app is equal to is really what's happening under the hood, and we can reference app anywhere in our file, okay? The other thing just to make note of is, you know, if I went to index and I saw that index is mounting root, right? It's mounting our app to root. Where the hell is root?
HTML.
Where's the HTML? Public. I go to public and I click on index HTML and I browse down a little, I will see root right there, okay? We still need an HTML file to send to the user. And this idea of public is something you'll see, I'll be right with you, Josh, when we get to Node and Express. So Node is a web server and Express, I'm going to say Node is our like web server on one level, and then Express is a web server. This is a web server. When we get to Unit 3, you will see also that there's a public folder that the Express server will be giving to the clients, the end users. In order for the server to give you HTML, that has to live inside of a public folder. So this idea of public is not just solely React, okay, this public folder, but it's also Express, the web server application. And what is React? Kind of like, you know, this front-end application. Running on top of what? Not everyone at once, right? Node, right? It is a Node server. Did we not do npm start? Yes, we did, Andrew. Thank you very much. Did you have a question?
It's the source directory then kind of like the private scope.
Yes. They never see this. What we do in the end, and the reason why we spoke about kind of Babel and what Babel was doing, in the end, we need to take all of the React things that we created, all those components, and transpile them, and they will then get put into this index file. And that happens through a build command. If we ran build, there'd be a new folder inside of here that we call build, and then you would see this folder that has all of our React components aggregated into one long string of like code you wouldn't really be able to decipher, but it's creating it for us, okay? That's why this is important. I don't want to like emphasize this too much because we're not going to be in public. I'm showing it to you, but we're not going to be spending much time in public. We're going to be spending all of our time here in source, creating our component structure in there. And I just needed to kind of like emphasize this because we're going to be doing this and this all the time with every file we create, as well as this in order to get it out. So we're always going to be doing this. So it's just important to kind of cover that.
So the reason why there's an HTML file is just the person is receiving the React files on the browser.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's kind of dynamically sending it to you, right? It's taking, if I looked inside public, I just saw that mount point, and yet I see HTML here that wasn't in the index file. So React is taking our application and like spinning it up and kind of injecting it into here and then sending it to you, and so you get what would be an application rendered as HTML with all of the click functionality, click events, input events, whatever it is, any additional logic is going to live inside these files. Okay? Do you have a question, Jess?
Yeah, well, I think I missed this, but
Sure.
you don't, for CSS, you don't need to export, right? You just, it looks like.
Oh yeah, for this particular CSS file? Yeah, you don't export the CSS. See, the export is for JavaScript files only. So the import would be for index.js, and the export would be for app.js. These are just going to be JavaScript files only, and that's just one way. And this isn't a React thing either. This is a Node thing. So a Node allows you to aggregate or segment your application into multiple smaller units and import that functionality. Okay? Cool? See why I start with code types, right? It takes a while to like get through, and then we get lost and we don't even get to what React is. So I wanted to get you excited with React yesterday, building stuff and seeing it, because I knew what you were going to be doing in the homework, versus like we spent all day, afternoon just working with files, and I still don't know what the hell React is.
So do you have to export every single file that you make for JavaScript? Is that React?
Any component, and if I want functionality from a JavaScript file, whatever that is, if the JavaScript file contains data, right? So say I have data, and I want to take data from one file and use it in another file. I have to export it from the one file and import it into the other file. No different than you needing to do a script tag to import the data, same thing, right?
In the same way, we started with APIs in React. It's nice to put all our API calls in one file, and then we can just import them as we need them. So that way we can just say, oh, instead of like having a whole Axios column build of our component, like in a function somewhere, we can just have like an API. Pull a function from there and say, give me the data.
Yeah. So the reason why when we're creating these files, the one thing that I kind of pointed out yesterday when I went to that code, I just want you to like get perspective now. Now you understand like the file structure, right? When I showed you that application, like this application where the student build out is using some sort of music API, okay? I'm going to go into our components structure. So here's the source folder, right? Here's index. There's no app here. I think he's doing it straight from app. I think Code Sandbox just does it a little differently. I'm going to go into components. You see all these folders? Each folder here, if I go to details, has multiple JS files, CSS files. So if I just go to all member button, what does it import? React. Okay, it also imports component, which is object destructuring, and we'll go into that. It's importing it. What is it exporting? This particular component. They're just abbreviating it. Instead of like creating the class and then exporting it down here, they're just doing it in one straight shot. Okay, so that means that if this is being exported, it's being used someplace else. I don't know where this is being used in the rest of the app. I'd have to look at something called the application architecture. And the application architecture is going to be something like this. Let me go over here. Because as we create stuff now, we need to think about the architecture. When we created, and we're going to go through this process here, when we created our color switcher app yesterday, what was the main app itself? We had three, right? Three little tiny components that did stuff. What was the kind of the main one? Anybody remember? Color switcher app, right? So I had here this thing called color switcher app, right? Okay, and that color switcher app did what?
Change the boundaries.
So it was meant to change the guide, we didn't get to that yesterday. We created two components, right? Those components were what? And then color, I think it was color list. Okay, there's a hierarchy when we do this. Now I said I don't know where this thing is, but if I was to take a look at the hierarchy that they would have put together, I would be able to tell you where this thing is being rendered from, right? So having this, I can easily look at the structure of your application. And this is important. This hierarchy is important because in the end, data flows down. Okay, we can pass data up, but data flows down. Okay? So it's unidirectional. We can pass data up so that at that point in time it doesn't even line up, right? I can pass it up. But when data changes, we have to give it back to the thing that's keeping track of the state of the application. It monitors the change in state, and then it sends down to the children the data that they need and only they need, right? So this app could have access to multiple pieces of information, multiple states of the application, but form only needs to only know about certain things. Color list only needs to know about certain things, right? And in the end, I don't think we get it, but color list could have been split off or render a color list item, right? And that color list item would have been what? What do you think? Yeah, just an individual circle. This would have been the UL spinning off circles. This would have been our form with an input that captures data, sends it back up here, and then color switch wrap sends it to color list. Color list uses map, something you learned this morning, to render color list items, and then gives them all their unique colors and generates an LI from them. Okay? These two can never chat. This never happens, and this never happens. They can never talk to child components, sibling kind of components. Because in the end, these two are kind of siblings to one another. Their parent is this, right? These two aren't siblings, but these two are. But they can never directly pass data to one another. In order to get data from here to here, I have to send it up. Right? In this instance, it would be more like this. Sending the data up, sending the data down. Then that data sends it down to each item. That is the flow of data in React, which is why, one second, which is why we spin off these little components that do their thing, but we have to understand the architecture here. Okay, that this speaks directly to its children, and the children speak directly to their children. So if I want to get a piece of data from here to here, I have to, at this level, we have to go through this. There are some advanced features of React that allow us to get directly from here to here, but for our intent and purpose, we have to go through this to get to this. So when you structure your app and you make the decision what needs to get passed around as props, and what is the state of our application? What is the thing that's like keeping track of all the changes that are happening, right?
So if you're making something with React, is it important to map all of this out?
Oh, yes. 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 So when you build out your app, this is what I'm going to expect. This. Just like when you wireframe your design, I'm still going to want you to wireframe. Your app that you're going to be building for Project 2 is an API app. You get to choose your API. Whatever API you want, you get to choose, and you build an app accordingly. And I didn't kind of emphasize the other day, like if you don't have ideas, then rebuild something. Go rebuild Airbnb. I've had students rebuild Airbnb or rebuild Instagram or Pinterest. It's in front of you. You don't really have to mock it up anymore because the thing's in front of you. You already know the functionality, but you have to do this, okay? And I read in an article where somebody was trying to change up the interview process. And so they had a student come in, or whoever was buying, it wasn't a student, it was somebody going for the position. And so they wanted to make the process a little bit more interactive. So the interviewer said to the interviewee, what's your favorite site? The person was like, oh, I go to this site, I love it, love it. And they're like, great. Pull it up. They pulled it up and they're like, can you kind of mock up what you think the React architecture is for that site? And so they had to spend time like looking at things, breaking it down, and trying to make sense of all the pieces and how they would connect and how data needs to get passed up and get passed down. They had to mock that up on a whiteboard. Okay, and it was just an interactive way to get people thinking about things versus like going through some sort of, here's a code challenge, build this thing out. you use the thing every day, you should be able to look at it and understand what it's doing, is really the kind of goal of that lesson. So I'm only showing you this because I want you to see the complexity. This complexity of all these little JS files, look, this one's a little bigger, right? It's got some things maybe we haven't seen. Component did mount, we'll get into that. But it does have to export and it does have to import. Okay, it's always gonna import React. Always import React. And it's importing this thing called component as well, okay? And we'll get into what that is. I just want you to see how a larger application and the need to structure something really needs to be put in place, because that's a lot of stuff going on. And if you jumped on board and you're like, I want to do this thing, I don't know. The student would ask me a question, something's not working. I was like, well, where's your architecture? And they're like, I don't have it. I'm like, well, you're making it really hard for me to understand what's happening because you have so many moving pieces. I don't really understand, right? Do you have a question?
No,
All right. Sure, it'll be exciting when you do it. All right. So we understand where we're headed, right? With this, I even think, is this? Yeah, no. They were importing data here locally, but all right. So we know what we're aiming for, and here's our little app. Right. So we don't want to use that app. That's not our amazing app that we're going to use. So I'm going to stop my server, and you do Control-C, boop, stops the server. If you don't do Control-C, say I do Control-Z, it just releases the command. It gives me back my terminal, but the node process is running on my server. And so there was one time I was teaching class and I just kept doing Control-Z, and then my machine just got stupid slow. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And then it went to Activity Monitor. So if you're ever interested in like what's running, I went to Activity Monitor. And Activity Monitor on my CPU, I just searched for Node and I found instances, like 20 instances of Node, each using CPU and memory. And my machine was an older machine, so it died. It was like really like glue trying to move things around.
And so one of the other things that you install for you today is specifically the process. Called stop. So you would be Activity Monitor, and you're looking to see a process there, but where's the processing?
Oh, not stop.
So,
Oh, you're saying here I could stop.
so yeah, the thing is if you want to find it, let's say, server running.
Yep. Cool. But that's not going to happen because they're going to be perfect with everything they do, every little nuance. All right. Feeling good? Questions about this? We're about to kind of delve into the world of taking our little color switcher app and converting it into these files. Input forms, state, and events. So these two we're going to be focusing in on. Keeping track of our data, because we have a form. Form means we added something. Adding something means we've changed state. Okay? If I'm thinking of 3 colors and you tell me to think of a 4th color, the state in my mind includes this 4th color, right? So I have to make more space to think about it. I have to keep track of more things, right? So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to get out of Hello World. Boop, boop. I only had Hello World as my app, right? So I'm just, ls minus L. I only see I have Hello World app. That's it. Correct? So I'm going to create a React app, and I'm going to call it Color Switcher App. That's what I'm going to call it. Color Switcher App. Okay. I'm trying to make it as big as I can. Enter. Oh, look, I got an error. I can't do that. No name can no longer contain capital letters. So create React app is a little specific. It's like, hey, we have some restrictions on what you can do, and you know what? You cannot do that. So I'm just going to call it color, maybe, I don't know, dash. Here we go. Color underscore switcher underscore app. This should work. I don't think there's a limit on the number of characters, but we'll have to find out, right? That's all I did. Color, switcher, create React app. Here's the command. Slack it out. Everyone has it. All on the same page. Done. Right? Yeah, it's got to download all the dependencies. And everyone in here is downloading. I'm the first one to do it, so it's like, boop, I get it fast. At the same time, everyone's typing it in, so it takes a moment to get all the dependencies. It always has to go up and like import all of the React libraries every time. Okay, and if you have it, if I just do an ls, I see I have color switcher app and hello world. We go into color switcher app, and I run what? Yeah, and once again, we can do npm start or yarn start. I think I'm just gonna try yarn start. I just want to see. Shouldn't do anything different. Look, run, it's running the React script, it's starting my development server, and that should refresh to show us the create React app. Always, 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 that's how you know it's a successful React app. Cool? So click on the thumbs up when you got to create React app. Okay? Unless you're still waiting. Are you waiting for it to install? Is that what I was like? Why isn't Eloise clicking on? Oh, okay. Serious?
So we can't use the yarn, we have to engage.
No, you should be able to. You try. I mean, try it. See what happens. If it doesn't work, then just go npm start. Like, I'm only playing a little game.
The command not found, I use yarn.
Then npm start. Yeah. If it's not found, then we have to install. So my machine has Yarn installed on it because I've used it before. So it's probably like create React app knows that I have it. And it's like you can use it. What's that? And then
Basically, what we're saying, all we do is run node, right, through a file, skip, reflect, check. That means that before any code flies off and starts, we're gonna say, ignore this, and it's totally fine.
yes. Before takeoff. Before takeoff. All right. So I got 5 so far. Clicked on my most amazing thumbs up. Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. So let me know. There's no point in going forward because nine, 10. Exciting. So we'll try to do this sparingly, spinning these apps up. Hence the code pens yesterday. See, the efficiency of said code pens, not the practical way of building out an app, but at the same time, the reason why I also enjoy working with the code pens is because, you know, if you just went to CodePen and you're looking for some specific functionality, I could like, I'm gonna search CodePens just for React and see what they have. And lots of people build out CodePens in React. There's a React toggler, there's a React color search, here's like 100 days of coding where somebody built something out. Bunch of different React Kanban board, right? You can go there and like see a Kanban board. That's pretty cool, right? Being able to build all that out. I don't see where their code is. This looks like, I'm going to assume they must be importing something because I don't see where their code, yeah. So they're importing a code set. They're importing this index.js file. That's what they're doing. And that must have their whole React thing, right? Because you can click on stuff and make stuff disappear, change priority. Pretty cool, right? You'd be able to build something like this. simulate something as pretty as that. Okay?
Were we supposed to be in a different directory with making this new one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes. Always in a new directory. Sweet. So let us. Oh, is that what you? I just saw what you selected. Yeah. Oh yeah. So you would still be in student examples, right? So if I did PWD, you see that I'm in instructor examples in a brand new app. Each app should be its own separate folder. I shouldn't be creating another Create React app within this one. It's going to cause all sorts of problems. Now, the one thing you need to be aware of here is also this. If I do git for ls minus a, oh, it didn't create it. Awesome. It didn't turn it into a git repository. Okay? If I do an ls minus a, it says show me the hidden files and folders, and git is a hidden file and folder, and I don't see .git here. I see a .git ignore, but I don't see that it's a git repository. Okay? I'm just going to remote minus b. Let me see. Yeah, so it's not. I think it's looking up towards here as the git. Awesome. Because sometimes you'd have to delete the git file because you cannot have a git repo inside of another git repo. If you have that, this child repo, when you push it up, just is some folder you can't even click on. It won't open up, and it's just a pain in the ass to go around. Okay? So I know that this works, and I'm just going to do this, right? That I got out of it. So I'm just going to do a git status, and I'll just say something like, I'm going to do a git add. I'll just do this. You don't have to do this. I'm going to say, hey, git add, git commit. I'll make sure everything works. Git commit color switcher app created. All right. Git push. Don't have to do remote master. Should just go out. So I must have done something up there. So I'm going to do a git pull. Boop. Okay. Now it's opening up this, just to show you. It opened up this saying, hey, something changed. You want to leave a git message? I don't really care to. If I X out of this, it takes me right back here. Right? Now I can do a git push. It should push it up. And if I go online to our setup, and I go to week 2, go to instructor examples, color switcher app, it's working. Okay? There it is. I have it. Now, when you do it, it gives you this whole readme file like, hey, we're an npm star, we're an npm test, run build. Like, there's some other commands. Here, it's like run build versus npm star. Okay, so some of the commands. We're not worried about that because the only thing we're going to be doing right now is this. This is the only command you'll have to worry yourself about. But they gave you all this information about Create React. I think they used to give us more information. Okay? But it is up there. Cool? Super cool. All right, so I'm going to do this. How about I do a git checkout? So I'm going to do this. Let me take a look. Do I have a git branch? Okay, I just have master. I want to do some things. I want to start git branching. So you constantly do git branching so you know I have this segmented protected thing. So if I do git checkout what? Checkout B, and then the name that I want to create. And I'll just say color switcher app. Oh, but I need quotes, right?
You don't need to do the others.
I don't think so. Is it? If you want to create a branch, you could. I'm going to do this. I'll create branches so that you constantly see it. I don't want anyone to get sidetracked and I'm on this branch and things didn't get committed. I'm going to create it so that you constantly get these little one-offs where like, oh, he's covered branching again. I kind of saw it. At some point in time, we'll all do it together. But if I do a git branch now, I have color switcher app, and I see that I'm in color switcher app, right? That's the branch that I'm on. It's green. That means that's where I'm at. Anything that I do will not be added to master until I merge the thing to master. So I'm in this protected environment. Okay?
Name them in certain way if you have them.
Yeah, so I would say the branches are going to be named based on the functionality that you're trying to implement. A lot of the times a branch is for you to do a feature. So you might say feature branch, feature underscore branch, whatever it is, adding button to Yahoo, feature underscore branch, or bug underscore fix, right? I'm just saying here color switcher app, but yeah, maybe I should say, app underscore build, color switcher app, something more specific, right? Lead by example then. So I'm in here, I'm just gonna do npm start, right? Get my app up. The magic app is up, all right. So now you have to constantly work in these files, right? Color switcher app, here it is, here's. Well, I'm in my color switcher branch. You don't have to go there, Maria. I'm just kind of emulating what I would do. Instead of having everyone get on to that branch, you don't need to do that. I just want to kind of show you maybe how I would build out these, and then we can always go back to them if we need. Okay? Good. So which of these files should we be in? App.js is our folder. File. Don't worry. All right? I don't need all this, but you saw how we imported logo here. See how logo is being referenced there? Why are there curly braces around this thing? Because it's JSX, and JSX enumerates variables using these curly braces, right? This is really the only thing that's in here, right? We do see in class name instead of class because it's JSX, right? Class is a reserved word, so we must use class name. If I did change this to be class, just want you to see, if I did change this to be class, and I save this, I'm getting an error here, okay? Hey, invalid non-property class, did you mean class name? When we did the code pen yesterday, class worked fine. I made you make the change to class name, but there was no error in the code pen. But in React, it's like doing this morning. This will mess us up later on, okay? So it should be class name.
So the HTML document that we use for our React,
Yes.
all of those classes have to be class name, because class specified
Reserved word.
reserved word.
Yes, it's a reserved word. And so of the JSX reviews, right, when it comes to JSX, we know that JSX class is now class name, right? Variables will be enumerated like this. So whatever it is, var, name, doesn't matter, I'm just whatever the variable name is, right? I think there was a third one. There was a third one. Huh? ID is a normal thing. Like we could just say ID is equal to whatever. The only thing is this is class name. Yeah. Capital, well, that's the component. There was a third thing for JSX specific. Closing tag, see that? I forget, right? All HTML, LMs, no, must have closing tags, okay? And I kind of emphasize the self-closing, like inputs, right? When we're using code pens or just normal HTML, it doesn't really matter, but in React is like, that's crazy, you can't do that. See this image tag? If I get rid of that closing tag right there, and I just do that, and I save this, whoops, it broke. And you're like, where is the thing? And it's like, unexpected corresponding JSX closing tag for image. Doesn't really tell me like image, it just says header. But it does say image. So looking at here isn't going to be enough or intuitive enough. Do you get the errors? You kind of have to look at the whole error, and it said failed to compile. Awesome. This is the parent thing. I suppose that's what it's telling me. So I just go here, add the thing, and we're back up and running, right? Keep that in mind, because these little things are just gonna annoy the hell out of you as you mistype stuff and things don't work, and you'll just get frustrated, okay? Sweet. Now, we don't need all of this, right? We don't need all this header stuff here. So I could get rid of the header. Boop, boop. It's all gone, right? And what are we going to put in there? So I'm going to go back to the color switcher app here. This is what we did yesterday. We'll just take portions of this out and we'll put it into this file. So we'll have this kind of identical thing we were creating yesterday. So that was the solution to the color switcher app. As of yesterday, I just slacked it out. And if I put them on, separate sides here, I would see that there's our structure. So here, color switcher app. We already have app. We could rename this if we wanted to. Renaming this might be a good approach so we could see. If I want to rename this, I would call this color switcher app. Okay. This is going to break the code right now. Why is it going to break? Oh, let me get rid of this. Yep. So I'm just looking for the reacting, right? So now it's say like app1 is not defined, right? Or app is not defined because here it's trying to export app and app doesn't exist. So we need to fix that. We need to say color switcher, and it already knows, right? Here, color switcher app. It's still not going to work. Okay. Because why? Huh? But it's not working anymore. Yeah, the import. Remember the import, or let me see. Oh, actually, no. We don't have to do it here because this app name here is importing the other thing. So this file is working just fine. The naming convention here, you probably want to call it the same name. If I'm exporting a color switcher app component, then there's a good chance I want to call this color switcher app, okay? And then I would have to update the React DOM to say color switcher app, okay? There's still nothing there because we don't have anything. There's no errors. Remember, we got rid of everything, right? I mean, the last thing that we could do to coincide with everything being color switcher app is what? What's the last thing we probably want to make a change to? Right, app.js, right? Keep everything the same name. Your files should be the same names as like your components because they're only going to always export one component, so keep them all the same name. So I would go here and like rename this and say, all right, color switcher app, and then I import, oh, did I not do it? I think I didn't hit enter. Color switcher app. Now it breaks, right? Because it's like, oh, no such file or directory exists. We're trying to import something. And then if I go to index here, I have to change app on line 4 to be color switcher app. And then everything is just working again. Okay? Good? Yeah.
Change the name of the CSS file.
Probably, yeah. So we probably change this also. So that's a good start. Maybe we'll just change this to be color switcher app also.
We also choose the React DOM.
We did change it. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm just going to go back in here, and for app, if we want to use that CSS, it's color Once again, I'm just trying to show you, making one change in one file, everything should be consistent. There's a good chance when you start up your app, you're just going to leave app because it's easy. You're like app, right? But what I want to emphasize here is the need to like go to all these little places. If you decide to change a name to something, you need to now go here and export it differently, call the component differently, go over here where it's imported. So when you decide on your architecture, make a decision. This is super important. As you probably noticed when you were building out your app portfolio, your design and your ability to like match that design coincided with better success than like scrapping and starting from scratch and not having a visual. Sure, the index file is right here. Everywhere where app was referenced is now color switcher app. That's all I did. Color switcher app. Just referenced it that way. We don't really have anything. There's no data being output, but there's no errors, right? I just got, color switcher app here. I think that was an error before, right? Color switcher app JS, color switcher app, right? I don't think that this is. Maybe if I refresh it, I just want to say, oh yeah, I'm still getting. Oh, because it's saying logo. So I don't need logo either. So I'm going to go back to color switcher app. Is everyone good? Color switcher app, going once. I'm going to get rid of wherever the logo was. I'm going to get rid of this because we're not using logo. So get rid of it. If you're not using something, get rid of the thing that you're not using. There's no point in having it. Okay? So we have our color switcher app. I want to take this color switcher app and output some text. I want to see our text, right? So the other day, I'm going to go here and just kind of copy what's inside from line 21 to 29. Okay, we're going to delete these in a moment because they will error out because these things have not been created, so they will scream at us. I'm just going to copy that. And you know what? I'm even going to get rid of, maybe we'll leave app. And I'm just going to paste it inside of here and tab this over so it looks like that. I'm just going to kind of align it so it looks nice. Tab. All right? All right. Things are going to error out. Oh yeah, so we got some errors. Yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of error messages now because once again, I'm trying to like retrofit what we did. We have to fix it to get it back to where we need to, okay? Doing this, I already see there's a few errors. I see these two things have not been created, so they're screaming at me. So for now, I'm just going to delete them, so I don't have to deal with that. All right, that's one error. The other error is this props title, right? We're not being passed props anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that and just put the title color switcher app, and I'll get rid of the H3. Okay? I will slack this code out. This is what should be inside of your color switcher app, okay? I just slacked it out. That's really it. And now our color switcher app is working, right? It's like happy now. It's in a happy place, okay? Color switcher app, happy place. Okay? Good. Good.
I'm getting an error that saying unclosed regular expression for the H1.
Okay.
Maybe that's just my JS.
Let me see. Because you have get rid of props.title. Look exactly what I have here. I got rid of props.title. I'm taking us back a step, and then I will take us forward. Okay? Keep it exactly what I have on the screen. You can comment, but the comments are like this. Let me just say that this is a comment in JSX. This is a JSX. Because that's how they created it. Like, I didn't make the thing up. That's like saying, you know, why does the engines like do what they do? I don't know. I just know to step on the gas. That's it. Yeah. Doesn't matter where. As long as inside of this is all JSX. Outside of that, I can put a comment right here and say, this is a normal JS comment. Single line comment. I could put a double line comment here. Would make a single normal. This is a normal single line JS comment. And this is a normal multi-line comment, okay? But inside of JSX, you have to write it specifically like that. I don't go out of my way to write a lot of comments in JSX because I have to do that. And I just hate it, just really tedious. If you do anything besides this inside of JSX, you break. You will break. So now you know, like, I want everything like, here are all the errors, yada, blah, 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 error, error, error. So when you see it, you know, and it's not a surprise, right?
Oh, you just cancel out everything. So you have to use the multi-line comment, even if you're doing this.
Yeah.
So like.
Here, that's what you mean, right? We can't do this. It doesn't interpret that, right? But it has to be this. Has to be inside of here. So this is a JS comment, and I'll even put the and must be multi-line format. Okay? As many comments as you want. Once again, I'm not going to add too many because that just gets tedious to write. Okay? So we're good. Baseline, color switcher wrap. Awesome. So we have one component. So this was our one component. Now we still have two other components, right? Form and color list. We'll start with form. In order to import form in here, it first needs to be what? Created. Yes? I need to create the file. So here, what happens a lot is this. And just like this student's project, do you see how there's a components folder here? I want to organize my files. I don't want to have just a whole series. I'm sure maybe when the student started, they just started to create them and like, whoa, like my source file is like 200 lines of just like files, right? Unwieldy, so you want to organize your things to what they belong to. It's just an organizational approach.
A quick question, so just to clarify, so index CSS just applies to every single component, right? And then.
Well, index right now is mounting a parent component. Okay.
I mean, index CSS.
Index CSS is a. Do we have it here? Yeah, that's just a CSS file for the index. So the index is loading HTML, right? It's like loading a component, and a component renders what? UI. Right? And so UI is going to be affected by CSS. So this index CSS file is just like, hey, for the body, we want this. For any code, we want that. Whether we use that or not is, at this point, down irrelevant.
Oh, I see. So that index CSS with index.js.
Yes.
Color switchers.
Well, this is, once again, this is going to apply to everything because CSS is inherited, right? But what we'd like to do is keep things closer to each other. Components are meant to like export. If I can export a folder that has both the index, the JS file, and the CSS file, and the JS file is already importing the CSS file, knowing that it should be in the same folder. I can give you the folder, you import it, and it should work flawlessly. CSS should be applied directly to that thing without interfering with the rest of your app. So instead of having a monstrosity of a CSS file, you have smaller CSS files that are more manageable, right? Easier to like maneuver. Okay? So here in source, I'm going to create a new folder called components. Okay? I'm just going to give it an uppercase C because components, their naming convention starts with an uppercase C. Could be lowercase or just, what do you do? So uppercase, lowercase.
I do all my folders lowercase because it's
Oh.
and also just because of kind of like in capital letters, including settings, however.
That being said, thank you for your feedback. So I guess I would.
Yes, but there's specific components. I like the folder that put each component
Yeah.
in, use a capital letter.
Boom, thank you, thank you. I knew I would get you on board at some point in time. So I'm going to go in here now and create a new file. What are we going to call our file? Form.js, uppercase F, because app was uppercase, right? Look, even app test is uppercase here. We're going to call it just that. Boom, done. Okay? Things that we need in this, right, are, I'm just going to add some comments, right? Import what? Import what, people?
React.
People. React, right? And so we do that by doing import React from React. That's it. You don't need the JS and we don't need the semicolons. This will be fine.
Is there a shortcut just to throw the default boilerplate stuff?
I believe there is, like some templating and some scripts that we could use, like little snippets of script that we could do.
Once you get to a certain point, it's also going to be 3 lines.
Yeah.
It's like, with HTML, it's like 15 lines, particular tags. At the end of the day, we just import React from React. And then React.code, we get anything that becomes, and then
And uppercase letters for folders. Walk out of here at anything today, it's that. All right. So if we do this, we need to do what now? What's the next thing we need to do? All right, so we need to create a new component, right? And we do that by saying function form, right? This needs to render or return, needs to return something, right? What's the something that it needs to return? Some sort of UI, right? And I'm going to pull that UI right out of our form here, which isn't a lot. It's just this, right? That's it. That's all I need to pull out is that form information. I'll slack it out too. Just going to go here. I'm going to paste it in there. Okay? I'll slack exactly what you need to copy and paste. Okay? Just copy and paste that and put inside the return. Okay?
So we only have to use that special comment syntax inside the return.
Inside of the JSX. Inside of JSX. So the return is returning JSX. So inside of JSX. Okay?
Would the export, would that be in the Color Switcher app?
Nope, it's in here, right? Because now we created it, we want to give it to Color Switcher app to use. So we do this, export the component, and we say export default form. That's our structure. Import React, create our component. Our component returns some sort of UI. We then export that component. After we've exported the component, we need to import said component into our Color Switcher app. So I'm in the Color Switcher app. Okay? Now I want to import this thing. And so you would say import form from single quotes dot / components / form. Right? Dot represents that in our parent source folder, there is going to be something called components as a folder. There is a component in there that is a JS file called form. Now we import it. Okay? Back to my React. Make sure nothing's happened here. I don't really see any. I only see here line 3. Form is defined but never used. We imported form, but we have not used form. Right? And form is a component. And in order for us to reference our component, what do we do? What do I do here? All right, self-closing elements, and then our said form has arrived. Okay? I'm just saying, like, when I get around to this, and with dread having to walk down the whole file thing, like when it was CodePen, it's like, look, it's over here, like this day, like what? But this just takes time to get everyone on the same, at the same speed. There's so many room for error, and it's like this thing, there's just errors after errors. Now, you did form, we did form together. Can you do the color list? Can you create all of the stuff we need and have the color list display on the screen also? We're missing CSS, and we'll fix that later. Okay? No, we're missing CSS. So it may not look the way we want it to look at this point, but your job is to take the color list and render that. Okay? I'm going to put here put a thumbs up there. When you have your color list component rendered on the screen, click on the thumbs up. If you have any issues with anything, reach out. Me, Soleil, what's left? Oh, you want me to slack out the code? I did slack out the whole CodePen, but I will slack out just the HTML. You know, once again, maybe that'll make it easier. So, boom, there it is. Yeah. Let me see the errors there. So let's take a look. Well, because the component should be in source. Yeah. Should we save it? All right, so let's do it. We try to stop the user from starting. I don't think. Every time here. Well, because here you also have stores, never updated those things. Go back to file. All right. We good? We got our color list. So our color list. No?
I think I see some PS5.
What, where?
Function policy.
Oh, because I'm not setting it as, I know what you're saying. So they wants to do this. Is equal to, yeah, const this. So we could do that. We could. All right, I will do that with the next component. Let me do that. Because I feel like I've gotten this far and we're so close to look. So I'll create the next one. We're trying to make, the emphasis is this. We know that there's new things with ES6 and one of those being fat arrows. And so one thing, I'm more partial to writing it like this if I want to have my supporting functions below, okay? Because I don't want to create 30 lines of functions and then have my app logic towards the bottom in a normal JavaScript file, okay? Here, if we're only one component, it doesn't make it so bad to do it that way. Just saying. That's why my preference is. But I'm going to go here. I'm going to go new file, and I will say color list.js, right? Because that's what this was, color list. So I'm going to import React from React, right? I'll do the const color list is equal to, you don't have to worry about yours. Once again, I'm just using the new versioning here. And then return what I said here, copy that, paste it, right? Export. Okay. Yep. Export default, color list, right? So I'll have to change all these to class name. You'll see later, we'll dynamically generate those, right? It is spelled out.
And you also have a key. This is colors.
Where?
And the color list.
Color list. All right. All right. So I got it. I'm going to go back to app, color switcher app. I'm going to import, right? So I could just do this, right? Import it, and I'll just change the names, right? Color list. Color list. Color list. And we get it. Looks pretty ugly. No styling. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. So we'll go to lunch. Let's go to lunch because I'm hungry. And I actually got a meeting. I have a meeting. You get to go to lunch. I get to go to a meeting. Yay. All right. I'm going to. What happens? Oh. So Zoom shut down on me. We didn't record all that. I'm just going to do it all over again, right? Like, who didn't want that?